Bill O'Reilly, where do I have it wrong?
Oh, where can I start, Beck? Where shall I start? Let's start with the Associated Press. Your audience should know that from the inception of the Fox News Channel in 1996, the Associated Press tried to destroy it. All right? Every day, every way. David Bowder, Fraser Moore, their TV people just absolutely relentlessly tried to harm the network. Why? All right, so you can answer that question because you were there at Fox for a short period of time. Secondly, the tradition of shouting questions is what made Sam Donaldson famous.
Yes.
Okay? And he did that to Reagan, and then Reagan would put his hand up to his ear and go, I don't know, I can't hear you, I don't know who you are.
Well, he didn't always do it. May I play a clip of Sam Donaldson? Because Sam is one of the guys who really made this famous, and listen how the president dealt with Sam Donaldson. Go ahead, play that, please. Sam Donaldson. You have it, Sarah?
With Reagan.
Reagan?
Mr. President, in talking about the continuing recession tonight, you have blamed mistakes of the past, and you have blamed the Congress. Does any of the blame belong to you?
Yes, because for many years I was a Democrat.
I mean, that's the way the president should deal with it.
Yeah, and Dan Rather was the same way, and Bill O'Reilly was the same way. I never covered the White House, but I was super aggressive as a reporter. I don't remember ever yelling anything at anybody. I would pick my spots, but, you know, I certainly can't say I was timid.
I don't think she was yelling.
Who, Caitlin?
Yes. I don't think
you know
she was
what? It really doesn't matter because and I can tell you this because I know this for a fact, because we investigated on BillO'Reilly.com last night. What rankled the White House was that she was told there was not going to be any Q&A, yet continued to be very aggressive and assertive in asking her questions to the president, who obviously didn't want to answer them. And then,
would you have done differently?
I probably would have done it differently.
In her position? In her position?
Here's how I would have done it. I would have asked the question, and when he did not answer the question and kept saying thank you, as you pointed out, then I would have said, will there be a time, Mr. President, when you'll answer the questions about Mr. Cohen, Michael Cohen? That's what I would have done. And therefore, I wouldn't have come across, look, this is the truth. Anyone who likes President Trump or supports him in any way despises CNN and Caitlin. All right?
But she's not a CNN person. She came from the Daily Caller.
No, I know, but she works for them now. And as we pointed out last week, there is a culture at CNN that demands you be disrespectful to Donald Trump. I talked to a CNN person this week, and I said, can you name one person on your network, one, in a position of visibility, anchor, high-profile reporter, who's even moderate toward Donald Trump? And it was silence. There is not anyone, not one human being working for the corporation that is even moderate to the man. So the culture is get him. And so Caitlin knows that's the culture. And Caitlin has prospered in CNN from her display. But for the American people, if you took a poll today, they would say she was out of line by probably 55-45. So, you know, the point is that the press has devoted itself to removing Donald Trump from office. That's what they want to do, and they're not going to stop doing it. And if they can embarrass him, that's points for them, because that's the culture.
So let me play one more clip for you. I know you remember Helen Thomas. Listen to this.
Yep.
Play the Helen Thomas clip.
Ask you, Mr. President, your decision to invade Iraq has caused the deaths of thousands of Americans and Iraqis. Wounds of Americans and Iraqis for a lifetime. Every reason given, publicly at least, has turned out not to be true. My question is, why did you really want to go to war? From the moment you stepped into the White House, from your cabinet, former cabinet officers, intelligent people, and so forth. What was your real reason? You have said it wasn't oil, quest for oil. It hasn't been Israel or anything else. What was it?
Yeah, I think your premise, and all due respect to your question and to you as a lifelong journalist, that, you know, I didn't want war. To assume I wanted war is just flat wrong, Helen, and all due respect.
Now listen.
No, hold on for a second, please. Excuse me. No president wants war.
Okay, here's somebody. You remember Helen Thomas. She was as slanted as they come. Her whole thing was to take George W. Bush apart.
And who did she work for?
She worked for CNN? No, Associated Press.
Aha!
She worked for the Associated Press.
Aha!
Okay, so, but the point is, she still worked. She was still a member. She was not, she was tolerated by the president, and the president even spoke to her with respect. Now, yeah, I personally think
he was a different man. Bush was different from Trump.
But there is something to be said for the office. You don't, Oh,
absolutely. That's why, when the CNN reporter yesterday was told that he's not going to answer any questions, she should have backed off. I don't mind the question being asked, but as I said, if you're not going to answer, just say,
so
when will you answer?
Do you have a problem with, because, we were there with James Rosen. We saw what Obama did. Obama was much worse to the press than this guy is. And they didn't really say anything about it. Only a couple of times did they kind of get upset about the way President Obama was treating the press.
Well, they loved Obama, though. We're almost stating the obvious to your audience and the American people. The American media, generally speaking, is corrupt and has been for decades. Helen Thomas despised President Bush the younger.
Right.
Sam Donaldson despised Ronald Reagan. I was in a Washington bureau when I was working for ABC when Sam Donaldson came storming in one day after a presidential press conference. And he was screaming, "Mommy told him to say that. Mommy told him not to answer my question. So maybe we should interview Mommy." And he was talking about Nancy Reagan. This is in front of the whole Washington bureau at ABC. He Donaldson loathed Ronald Reagan. And Roone Arledge, the president of ABC, loved it, because he was of the show business look. Donaldson is like Howard Cosell. People are going to come to us to watch, and that was the whole thing. So if anybody in this country believes that the media is fair and seeking the truth, you must be breathing.
And I don't think that's not my point. I don't believe they're seeking the truth either. They have shout about their rights, but they don't.
It's a culture,
right?
And you're rewarded for being corrupt. You're rewarded for trying to embarrass Donald Trump or George W. Bush or Ronald Reagan. You're rewarded for that.
My point is, as the president of the United States, and a guy who they like to point out was a reality show guy, find the better way. Don't start kicking people out. Go study Ronald Reagan.
I understand that. But that's never going to happen. Because Trump says, "Look, all of this energizes my base."
I know.
All right, so
I know, but I will tell you this.
Never going to do that.
I tell you this: what Ronald Reagan just did to Sam Donaldson, the clip I just played,
eviscerated him. Sure,
right. It not only energizes his base, but it also makes others who are in the middle going, "Get him! That was great. That was brilliant."
But it's a different time now. It's a different time.
No, it's just a different guy. Just a different guy. So Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com, and also the author of the new book that's coming out September 18th, the same day my book is coming out, Killing the SS. It is, Bill, I'm halfway through, and it is really good. It's the best book you've written so far.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say that. I appreciate it.
It's the only book I've read of yours, and I've only read I've only read a chapter in the middle, but so far chapter.
What people don't know is that you have servants to read to you. Well, I fan you.
I will tell you, it's really fascinating. Not what I expected at all, but just really fascinating. Really
Where do you
good.
get to the end? The end is just going to blow your mind. The last chapter is an amazing exposition that nobody knows about.
So, Bill, let me see if I could get you to say one nice thing about the press. Is there anything you can say?
I have to be honest because I've taken a beating
I know.
From these people, so it's personal, and I'm not asking people to believe me. But I've been in this business.
I think most people do, no. I think most people believe you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, we've prospered everywhere we've been for 45 years.
Yeah.
And that's how long I've been a journalist. And in the beginning, when I went to Boston University for my master's in broadcast journalism, I did it because of Watergate and because I wanted to be an investigative reporter and look out for people. But what has happened is that the money, the industry, has overcome all ethics, and the news organizations are corrupt. I cannot read the New York Times. Literally, I cannot read the newspaper because it is just, to me, a fiction. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about finding out what happened.
But, Bill, do you think it's just the media corporations, which I think hold a lot of responsibility, but it is also now, when you came out of journalism school, you weren't indoctrinated like you are now.
No, absolutely not. And the college experience has fallen apart. And I had a great guy on BillO'Reilly.com yesterday discussing that, a professor from DePaul, a philosophy professor, saying that the universities it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
So what we are now is a free country with a press that's corrupt.
Okay, back in just a second with Bill O'Reilly, going to talk a little bit about the effort to impeach the president and those in charge of the investigation of the president. We'll do that next. Welcome to the program. Yesterday, I was talking to, from Harvard, Professor
Alan Dershowitz.
Alan Dershowitz. He was on the TV show last night at 5 o'clock, and we were talking a little bit about, the impeachment proceedings that the Liberty Caucus wanted to put out, the Freedom Caucus, and they were going to impeach Rosenstein, and then they backed away from it. Now, his case was these were not impeachable offenses. You don't do that. His bigger point was this really weakens the hand of the president if Congress falls into the hands of the Democrats, because he didn't do anything illegal. And he said impeachment has to be about legality. And if it's not, then you can file the papers against the president. Do you agree with that, Bill?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you diminish the original intent of impeachment by using it to punish a civil servant like Rod Rosenstein, who's obviously doing the wrong thing, that leaves the door open to punishing anybody you want, including the president, with a mechanism that wasn't designed for that purpose. But I like to cut through all the BS, and people don't even know who Rod Rosenstein is or why they're mad at him. It all has to do, and it's very, very simple, with getting a warrant from a federal judge to surveil the campaign of Donald Trump. That's what this is all about. Mm-hmm. And we know enough now to state factually that information brought to the judge, whoever that may be, the judge is still anonymous, by the FBI was fallacious, was false. So they got a warrant under false pretenses. That's a crime. And the Congress people want to know exactly who put the false stuff in the application, who did it.
Well, what's the false stuff? I can see that the
false stuff is that the FBI was using rumor as fact. Rumor about Donald Trump and his associates working with Russian people. They were rumors, not facts, but they were presented to the federal judge as facts. And the federal judge did not know that these rumors came from the Hillary Clinton campaign, were purchased by her and her people.
Yeah, I would think that I think it would be very easy to argue. I'm with you, Bill, on this, but I just played the other side. I think it would be very easy to argue that we didn't make up any facts. They didn't lie. You know, that we didn't tell them everything, but we didn't think we needed to. You know,
let's see it then.
Yeah, I know.
See your application.
Right.
That's what this is all about. That Rod Rosenstein and Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump will not put out what the application says and who signed off on it.
So, and this is the real problem. And I actually agree with Meadows and the rest of his group. When you have somebody in justice who is running an investigation that Congress has oversight on, and you subpoena. I mean, if you subpoena me, if Congress subpoenas me and I don't show up, I go to jail. If a court subpoenas me for a speeding thing, I go to jail if I don't show up. This guy is not showing up. He's not producing records. Why isn't he in contempt of Congress, at least? Why aren't they just throwing him in jail on this?
Well, they never do that, number one. They very rarely back up their rhetoric with action. They could cite him for contempt, but Holder was the former Attorney General, cited for contempt as well.
I know.
On the Fast and Furious gun thing.
Right, but if you don't ever back it up, contempt means nothing.
Well, that's what Congress is they don't back it up. But if I'm President Trump, I order Rosenstein to put out the documents, give them to the congressional committee that subpoenaed them now.
Why aren't they?
If he says no, I fire him.
Why aren't they?
It's speculation, Beck. You want me to speculate?
Yeah, I do.
All right, because I don't like to do that.
I know.
O'Reilly.com, where it's a no speculation zone.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can think of, and I don't have any information to back this up, is that in the application to the federal judge to get the wiretap on the Trump campaign, the FBI cited a lot of seamy stuff, a lot of salacious stuff that they heard, and that Trump doesn't want that put out to anybody. And that's the only
different than what we've already heard.
I don't know that. But there's no other reason on earth why the President of the United States wouldn't say, I want the people, particularly Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly, to see how corrupt this wiretap warrant was.
Because
that's this whole thing, that this is a bogus investigation. It's a witch hunt. It was based upon Hillary Clinton's purchasing things that aren't true. So if that's your thesis, and certainly that's the president's thesis, put out the document that can prove it.
Right. I have it sitting right here. I have the 400-page application for this wiretap right here. And there is a ton that has been blacked out.
Yeah.
A ton, page after page after page after page. But what I have seen backs up the president's story and backs up the Republicans' memo. But they haven't seen what's underneath the black bars, and we can't see what's underneath the black bars. And so how are we ever going to get to the truth?
I don't know. And if the president doesn't want this out because it is embarrassing, even though it isn't true. I mean, allegations are embarrassing, even if they're not true.
So
he could order. He's within his right to keep that redacted, to keep that stuff redacted. But we the people, the American people, have a right to know whether the FBI used false information to get a wiretap on a presidential candidate. I mean, that's pretty big, I would think.
I would think so, too. Okay, so let's switch topics here.
Bill, can we ask about the Cohen situation? The Trump team now says, something that I think is completely correct, that Michael Cohen is a pathological liar and should never be trusted. I'm completely on board with that. However, through all the years they said he was a pathological liar, they themselves were telling us that he was honest and honorable. So is this just one of these situations that we shouldn't take anything at face value from what they're saying. Everyone's trying to protect themselves at this point, and it's just
I mean, it's all chaos, and it's all I can tell you is this: when President Trump was running for president, I got a call from him about an issue that he was interested in that I had said on the O'Reilly Factor. And we discussed the issue, and I said, hey, why don't you come on tonight? He was a candidate at that time, and we'll talk about it just like we're talking on the phone now. He goes, well, I can't do it. I'm too busy. Why don't you take Michael Cohen, my attorney? And I laughed. I said I would never put him on the air in a million years. This is how perspicacious I am, Stu. Perspicacious, word of the day.
Yeah, good one.
In a million years, I said to him, I would never put him on the air. And he goes, why? Why? Well, he got upset. I said, because he's your lawyer. I don't trust every word he says. I mean, why would I put him on the air and subject my audience to him? Now, I don't know Michael Cohen. I don't know anything about him. But, he's what they call in New York City an operator, and that's not a phone operator.
Yeah, it's like a mob attorney.
He's a guy that's that's your word, not me when the lawsuit comes, right? He's a guy that's just around, and everything he does is either to get money or to get fame. And we all know who these people are. I never use them. And so all I can tell you is that this guy feels that his life is falling apart because of Donald Trump, and now he's going to get Donald Trump. He's going to say anything. He's going to do anything. And that's where it is.
Do you find it interesting, Bill, that the media, who has had the same opinion as you and I and Glenn over the years about Michael Cohen, suddenly finds him incredibly credible?
Now, he's deep throat. Yeah. he is the savior of the Republic. Right. This man goes down beside Samuel Adams.
But wait a minute. Let's reverse this. The people who all said, oh, he's a saint, he's the greatest, he is absolutely the best the president can find, now are like, that dirtbag, look how stupid he is. He's recording phone calls.
But I really never heard anybody say that about Michael Cohen, even when he was in with the Trump people. I mean, I never heard that. So it's all crazy, and but you're at the media now. He is John the Baptist.
Does anything come of that, Bill? Anything come of that?
I don't think so. I think it's all been discredited so much, the Mueller investigation including, that you'd have to have, a tape of Putin and Trump on a Caribbean island going, we're going to get that Hillary and you're going to help us, right? That's right, Mr. President. You'd have to have that tape to convince the American people.
Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.